Hello YouTube audience! This week's video is sponsored by my lovely cousins here. They're selling Girl Scout cookies and they've got some amazing ones. So if you live in the US and need yourself some Girl Scout cookies, you know, make sure to drop by and maybe get yourself a box. And if you don't need a box for yourself, you can also gift a box to the troops. So what's your favorite cookie?
The small one.
So we got a s'mores over here. What's your favorite cookie?
The s'more cookie.
So 2 votes for s'mores. Mine's the Do-si-dos, the little peanut butter ones. They're amazing. So if you guys want to check those out. And then I know you guys all love Thin Mints. Everybody loves Thin Mints. And then I have heard there's a new cookie. What's the new cookie, guys?
The Adventure Mints.
The Adventurefuls. What are they? They're indulgent brownie-inspired cookies with caramel-flavored cream and a hint of sea salt. So there you go. If you guys want to try some Adventurefuls, you know where to get some now. So
I'm Lucy and Charlotte, and buy our cookies.
Buy their cookies! Aren't they cute? So that was my little cousins, Lucy and Charlotte. If you guys need some cookies and you don't have anybody else to get cookies from, please go get some from them. I know especially Charlotte's troop is a brand new troop, and so they don't have a huge amount of funds yet because they're still growing their base and all that. So it would mean a lot to, of course, both Lucy and Charlotte, but it would mean a lot to their Girl Scout troops as well. Obviously, they use that money to go on trips and do cool things. So if you need some cookies, go get some cookies. There's a great place for them. So, and I thank you guys all in advance. I think that was really fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. Best advertisement I'll probably ever do. Hello everybody, it's Caleb. Welcome back. Hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful start to your Monday. Let's get into what we're doing this week, which is the bathroom. So let's head that way. Okay, so let's have a look at the bathroom. First thing you might notice from last week is that the giant stack is gone, which was the big cast iron pipe there. That's a vent pipe, so, you know, smells go out, all that good stuff. That's what that is for. It's now gone. There's a little tiny bit stuck up there at the very top, and actually the closet across from the library, that's where that pipe goes up into, so I have to cut the rest of it off up there. Luckily, that's actually not that hard of a task. It was way easier than I thought it would be, so that was helpful. One thing that I thought would be a lot easier than it actually turned out to be was the floor. I didn't realize it was about 6 inches thick of concrete, and you can see also they've shaved the top of the beams off. Now I'm putting new joists here. These aren't to take any weight necessarily, they're just to level everything out. I'm going to buy some lag bolts though tomorrow and probably put them in either tomorrow or Tuesday, depending on how I feel. Monday's usually my day off. And then bolt these to this. So, you know, the main beams are taking the weight, but they're just being transferred from these beams, and these are just created to fur this out so I can get a nice flat floor. Somebody in the comments had mentioned that they probably did this, that they had cut these beams down so the floor would lay flush with it so they can put some cement on top of the beams as well between them. So I guess that's a common practice for something they did in the 20s when they were remodeling. So that's interesting. But of course, now I also have to get some cross members in here. Before I had the type that would crisscross back and forth, and that's to keep these beams from flexing and, you know, turning. So basically, it doesn't allow them to accidentally lay flat, which would of course wreck the building. So I have to add some more cross members back in here. There's plenty of them over there, of course, but it'll just add some more rigidity to the structure here. More material isn't necessarily a bad thing, and when considering how chopped up this area was, I think it's a good idea. So I'm going to do it. It'll also allow me to have something to put, like, say, right here, so I have something to screw into when I put the new subfloor down. Sitting over here, this is where the bathtub was. That's what the bathtub was sitting on top of. I think that piece right there is actually a steel rod. It's not, or not rod, it's just a flat bar. I don't know why it's there. I guess the feet of the tub was sitting there. But as you can see, I have a lot of bracing and fixing to do. You can see how carved out that is. But basically, I wanted to get this down first, do this side, then remove all this stuff, fix it all up. Then I can lay down some plywood. Now, of course, I would like to do flooring like this again, but it just seems entirely unnecessary for this bathroom. And it's more expensive and it's more time consuming. So plywood is the goal here, especially because I have plumbers coming next week, or let's hope I have plumbers coming next week, because I seem to say that a lot and then something will come up and they don't show up. So, but let's hope they do. So before that can happen, I have to get a hole in this wall right here all the way up so I can run the new stack. So yeah, get the new vent in, get all this, you know, saved up. Luckily, these beams were still level somehow. A lot of the house is not, so somehow these were actually fairly level. So I should be able to lay the new plywood on top, clean this all up, and we should be good to go. Rip that all out, and then I can start laying down some new plaster. Also with this, one of the problems I ran into, to get the bathtub out, I had to remove the piece of wood that was right here, the frame for the door. But if you guys remember, this frame here was destroyed anyways because somebody had, I don't know, ripped the door off the hinges or something. This door was a mess. That's the one I fixed quite a few episodes back. So luckily the door's already done, but you know, these holes are a mess, and so I wasn't going to be able to really use this piece anyways. So that's okay that that had to be removed. But when removing that, and note this door wasn't here originally because this was the butler's pantry. You can see they didn't put a header in here, and a header is a top board that, you know, creates the opening here. So they cheated. So that's something else I have to fix. Luckily, this is the only door, I'm pretty sure, in the entire house that wasn't here originally, and everything else I've seen has been done correctly. This is the only one like this. So yeah, that's going to be a fun little fix. But we'll get there. Not too terribly worried about it. And since I removed that, I did get a little glimpse of this here, Apologize, I had to use my phone for a little bit extra lighting. But you can see some potentially original wallpaper. It's a really beautiful design. The little beads, I'm going to call this design a bead, you can see there. They're actually metallic, so like a silver paint. So it runs over the top too, so I have somewhat of a good idea of what the actual print looks like. So more to take down and see if I can flesh out what the design was exactly and maybe recreate that for this hallway, which would be pretty nice, I think. One thing I found a lot of in the bathroom was newspaper. They kind of shoved it everywhere. But it's helpful though, because if we take up here to the corner, this one is from Thursday, May 17th, 1923. So you can see St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Thursday, May 17th, 1923. So the bathroom we know was put in 1923. Also, there's another, these were shoved into the wall. There's another one here, which happens to be a German paper. You can see Verkauft there, 1923. So, and Dr. Ginneman, the guy who built the bathroom, the second owner, the veterinarian that has his office in the basement, or had his office in the basement, was straight off the boat German. So it makes sense that we would have newspapers like this in German. So quite a few of those, a few in English. Seems like he read both. So I've always said that I think the bathroom is fairly 20s, and aesthetically it definitely was very 20s. But having confirmed dates of 1923 really helps. So whoever the builders were, if it was Dr. Mayuniman yourself, thanks for leaving a few clues for me to understand exactly when you guys did that project. So that was very, very helpful. And for those wondering where the tub went, it's here. It's in the front stairs of the entry hall. So I can figure out something to do with this. If you're looking for a 1920s, early 1920s, big cast iron tub, let me know, because it's yours if you want it. But I've got to get this thing out of here pretty soon. I'm sure there's a date here on the back, but you can see all the manufacturing stuff here, all the marks. Pretty cool stuff. However, it's not the correct era for the house, and so therefore has to go. Let's see if I can find a date for you guys. This thing was not fun getting out of the house. So there you go, yeah, 1923, August 25th. So that's what the plates say. So yeah, if you want a 1923 standard Pembroke, Pittsburgh Steelworks bathtub, let me know. It's nice and thick. It'll probably stay warm forever if you get hot water in it. So a little bit before Christmas, a lady named Linda hit us up and offered to send us a quilt. She's a quilt maker, lives in Wisconsin, and she does really amazing stuff. So of course we agreed. You know, how could you not? Especially when somebody offers you something so beautiful. So let me show you the quilt. I think it's absolutely incredible. I know little to nothing about quilts, but I say that the artistry of these things are incredible. I've always been admiring them from afar, but never really knew much about them. I'm one of those guys, I wear many hats. Quilting isn't one of them. But let's have a look at it, shall we? From what she told us, this is a white star pattern. Again, that means very little to me, except for the fact that I obviously have white stars, but the thread work or the stitching of this pattern is really, really intricate, and I can't imagine the amount of hours these things took, or this took to make. I mean, it's really remarkable, and I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I think it fits in with the house well, and it's just a great addition. So we're really, really stoked on it. I mean, you know, the artistry of it. It takes a lot of patience to do something like this, and that's something I can definitely respect, because most of the things I've attempted to do in my life have always been very patient things, whether it be stenciling or art or, you know, working on the house. So I really admire people who have the patience to tackle something like this. So Linda, thank you so, so very much. This will be something that'll be very cherished in our house. And from one artist to another artist, your work is really awesome. Yeah, I've been admiring it quite a bit recently. It does need to go back into a box so it doesn't get dusty. So I don't have it out very much, but yeah, this will be definitely loved and cherished in our household. So thank you so, so very much. Also, Linda has a YouTube channel, so if you want to go check her out, she shows off a lot of her amazing skill in quilting. So definitely go give it a check out. It's really cool. It's actually kind of therapeutic to watch. So I'll leave a link in the description to that. Go check her out. Give her a thumbs up for me. And again, thank you so much, Linda. This thing's awesome. We really do love it, Kim and I both. And now for the weekly dose of history I found out about the house. This one's really, really cool. I'm very excited about this one. It gives me more puzzle pieces to fill in the lives of Mr. Brown and his wife, and of Hall, of course, as well. For those of you who don't know, the guy who built my house, Charles S. Brown, ran a company called the Hall & Brown Woodworking Machine Co. Hall, the other half of Hall & Brown, lived next door in an identical house. When we first bought the house, one of the first things we did was hire a historian by the name of Edna. Now, Edna had told us that the History Museum here in St. Louis had a few pieces of, or ephemera, from Mr. Brown himself. Namely some tools, so personal hand tools of his, and a box that they went in, and a gold pocket watch. So we've kind of been off and on trying to kind of poke the History Museum. Hey, could you give us photos of these items? Could you find these items in your guys' collections? Is there a way we could get, possibly see these items? All that. So about a week and a half ago to 2 weeks ago, we got hit up finally back by the History Museum. Mind you, this has been a year since we've been trying to find these items. And they sent back photos of these items. The hand tools are amazing. Like, this guy built woodworking machinery, and here are his hand woodworking tools, namely 2 planes. So that's really exciting. Supposedly they have more, and the box is still out there in the ether as well. They're still trying to track that down. We're hoping to get photos of that at some point soon, but still, to know that his hand tools are held in a collection for the city to enjoy is really, really awesome. And it's cool to know that they still exist and that they didn't get pushed out somewhere or anything like that, because that happens sometimes. Things get lost, and they still exist. They're still there, and they're his tools. So cool. Now, the second thing is, I think it's like the holy grail for the history of my house, because it ties together both Hall and Brown, and that's this gold pocket watch. On the back of this pocket watch, it says, to Charles S. Brown, or Chaz S. Brown, from Gorham, or G.O. Hall. So Gorham, I don't know his middle name, but Hall. And then it says December 25th, 1884. It's so cool. It was given to Mr. Brown from Mr. Hall. It's so awesome. It shows how close the 2 business partners were, coming from New Jersey to St. Louis and setting up this shop and building this business, this empire of machinery. It's just really, really cool. So it was amazing to see that. But when you open up and you see the face of the watch, it's a bigger revelation. It's even better. When you open up the face of the watch, there's a photo of his wife, Sarah. I didn't have another photo of her except for the one of all the family standing up front. In that photo, they're so far away to get the entire house in shot, you really can't see facial features very much. But there's enough of those facial features there to match them to the watch. Now, if I wanted to recreate a painting of Brown and his wife together, I have enough information to do that. I have enough of her facial features and his facial features that I could actually put a painting of them up back in the house where it should be. And then to know that the watch was originally donated by his last surviving son in the 60s. That's how the museum got all these items. And like, everything's listed and wrote out. Like, it's just so cool. Many people kind of like wonder, what happened to their house before they ever got there. And the fact that I'm able to piece together so much information about what this man did in his life and his family's life, and be able to go and visit their graves and now find pieces they held in their hands that they, were very close to, that meant a lot to them, and that they're in the city's archives, like they're part of St. Louis history, and it's so cool to be part of that. Like, so I don't know, it seems like every week something's so exciting, but this week it's no different. Like, this is so exciting to be able to find a piece like this. Again, I'm just amazed at how much I've been able to learn about these people. I mean, they've been dead since the 30s. And I can still find so much of their life everywhere, from newspaper articles to pieces at the History Museum to silly little puzzles that they sold at the World's Fair. Like, it's just really, really awesome. And I'm, you think about these things in your head, that it's going to be possible to do so much with this house and just to be able to see so much and be able to explain so much, but you never really think that you're going to be able to find this much about the people who built your house. And I have a huge amount. I feel very lucky and very fortunate to be able to have found these pieces, to be able to found these stories, and to relay them to you guys. It's really rad. Sorry to use that word, but that's the word I'm going to use right now. Rad it is. It's really cool. I'm super, super, super stoked on it. And I hope you guys are too, because it's a very exciting thing to me. So. And lastly, since we're still on the topic of the bathroom, one thing I want you guys all to know, because I know there's been a big, let's say, camp that says, hey, just put back the butler's pantry. And I 100% do agree with you guys. I think that would be the best thing. However, because of how the house is set up, and because I want guests here, it's really hard to make that decision. If I put that back as a butler's pantry, that means I have 2 guest rooms that share 1 bathroom, which I don't think is fair for anybody who's coming here to stay. And again, that means I have 0 public restrooms, because 1 would be in the basement, 1's on the 3rd floor, 1's on the 2nd floor. And I think most of the tours of the house, because I'll have guests, will probably be 1st floor tours, potentially the basement. You know, I don't know how it all gets set up, but for me, it's more usable to have a restroom here versus having the butler's pantry. The other thing is too, is the second kitchen that was probably in the house, the summer kitchen, which was most likely in the basement, directly underneath the kitchen, in fact, is something we're going to be turning back into a kitchen as well. This house will have like 2.5 kitchens, kind of. Of course, the main kitchen, which will be all the 1890s stuff, with some 1920s appliances. The basement will be pretty much a modern, big box, probably IKEA cabinets, just something somewhat basic and somewhat modern. That way, if something breaks in the main kitchen, I have a backup. So it's the backup summer kitchen. It'll also double as a laundry room. There's also tons of space down there, and I plan on building a bigger storage for food. So basically, most of the food that we make up here will most part be stored down there, and as you're going to use something, you bring it up and, you know, use it in the kitchen. So storage, not an issue in this house. We've got plenty of square foot to work with. And the basement is rather usable with ceilings that are about 9.5 feet tall. So basically, with this house being the way it's done, you know, having the ability to have you guys come and show up, the 3rd floor will be mine, Kim's space solely. That's our private space up there. So the 3rd floor, we're going to have our own private bathroom, bedroom, and we're going to have a small kitchenette area with a tiny little laundry room, like a stacking unit. That way, most of the things we have to do, if we have guests, we don't disturb them, so they can experience the house like it's their own for a few days or a day. And I kind of wanted that to, you know, have a little separation between public and private. And so, you know, we'll have a kitchen there, we'll have a kitchen on the 1st floor, and we'll have a summer kitchen in the basement that'll be also half laundry room. So I've got it all figured out and thought out, but it makes the most sense to have this as a restroom as opposed to having it as a butler's pantry again. As much as I love the idea of a butler's pantry, you still couldn't store that much stuff in there because it was a remarkably small butler's pantry for the time as well. So, like I said, most usable is a powder room. And I think when you visit, you'll be happy you don't have to walk up a bunch of stairs or down a bunch of stairs to get to a usable restroom. So I think it makes the most sense. And even though it is not period correct, we're going to put everything in there like it would have been if it were built to the original house. So we plan on making it look as good as possible and as period correct as possible. And that way, when you guys come, you guys have another place to go and use the potty. So that's the thinking behind that, the reasoning. I'm sure it's way too long-winded, but you know, my thought process behind the whole project. So thank you guys all so much for being here for another lovely, lovely week. Hope your week was amazing and hope that your week coming is amazing as well. So thank you all so much. Have a great one. Bye-bye.